Since I have the mini PC, would Knights of the Old Republic 2 be on the table in the future? Maybe. Here's the thing. I really feel like all right, time to be okay. DSP becomes honest. All right, you ready for this?
Oh, finally, thank God. I've been waiting for this moment the entire time I've been following DSP. Just one moment where he's actually honest and open about something, and I don't mean honest in the way that he typically does. I mean genuinely 100% honest and open. Granted, it is a little strange and almost concerning that this is stemming from a Knights of the Old Republic 2 question, but hey, I'll take what I can get. Let's be honest, DSP, what do you got?
All these years, you guys told me, man, I'm really missing out because I don't have a gaming PC, right? Like, man, you miss so much stuff. You don't play it. You're only a console gamer, and you've limited yourself so much because of that. So I got this PC. It is a mini PC, but I got this PC end of last summer. It was donated by a fan. Thank you so much to that fan for that. And what have we done with it since then? We played Chrono Trigger. Like, that's fucking it. And oh, I take it back. We played the paranormal game around Christmas time. I forget if I can remember what it was called. Like, that's it. And I have it, and it's available, and we can do stuff. There's no demand.
You know what really bothers me when people say that they're going to be honest and immediately follow that up with telling a lie straight to your face. I'm sure that that bothers a lot of people, and I'm not special in this way at all. But that's exactly what DSP just did. He just told everybody that he was going to be honest, and then told everybody that he received his mini PC back this summer, and they only played 2 games on it because nobody's been asking to see any other games. And that's just not true. Since the summer when he got the mini PC, people have been nonstop telling him all sorts of small indie games that he could be playing on it, all sorts of AAA games that would run on the mini PC if that was the platform that he decided to play on. But I'm sure that all of you are aware by now that DSP shot all of those suggestions down. I mean, people told him to play Lethal Company, they told him to play Pizza Tower, and what did he say every single time? Absolutely not going to happen. He doesn't have an audience for that, dude. People don't want to see that. There's no demand. As they asked, day in and day out. So let's just set the record straight. The reason that DSP has only played Chrono Trigger and Phasmophobia on the mini PC is because that's all he was interested in playing. And even then, he really wasn't interested in playing Phasmophobia. That's why he dicked around for 20 minutes out of the hour, not even playing the game. And then when he finally did actually get into the game, he spent 40 minutes just wandering around, not paying attention, and then giving up.
Literally, no one says, hey, Phil, now that you got that mini PC, you absolutely should be doing this, this, and this that you missed out on. It's like, meh, you have it, big deal. The big games are on console, play those. Literally, that's what I've been told.
But that's not the reaction that you get, DSP. Who is saying that? Because that's not what I'm seeing in your chat. Now, I can't guarantee that the people that I'm seeing in your chat aren't LARPers, but neither can you. People are constantly telling you about all sorts of smaller indie-style games that you could play on your mini PC. Hell, even something as simple as Sea of Stars could have been played on your mini PC if you really wanted to. Not that you would have to, but to familiarize yourself with the hardware and the UI. But you just aren't interested, and you've made that very clear. The closest that we've been recently to him playing anything on that mini PC is someone almost convinced him to play Pizza Tower one time. But that was a few months back, I believe before all of the RPGs started coming out, and that got pushed to the wayside because, you know, the RPGs started coming out. And those are obviously far more important. His audience is eating those right up, aren't they? Just completely ignore the fact that we complain about all of the RPGs that we're playing every day and how we need variety. Sound good? Sounds good to me. And by the way, categories.
So it's like, all these years that everyone yelled at me, right, that I didn't ever have a PC, so I can't really play these games. Again, like, I got the PC now. It literally sits there collecting dust. The one thing we were gonna do with Fightcade, it made more sense to hold off because Tekken was right around the corner. It didn't make sense to set that up, get it working, and then play Tekken and not use it. So I tell you that 100% Fightcade will be coming at some point this year when things die down with fighting games. I want to play old school fighters on Fightcade, okay? But outside of that, that's the only thing that I could think of. Like, what else would I even do on there?
What do you mean? What else would you do on their DSP? The sky is really the limit. You could install a plethora of emulators and play a bunch of old school retro style games that you claim to love. You could go on Steam and buy a bunch of classic games that you remember from back in the PS2 days and play a bunch of those. You could play modern games that you've played before, but instead mod them, and it would be an entirely different experience. There's entire genres of games that you've never played or looked into simply because they don't make them for consoles like that. But none of those are big AAA new releases. None of those are going to be the new hotness. Those aren't going to get you day one views, so you're not interested. But let's not sit here and act like, oh, there's nothing to play on the PC. What would I even do? Because there's infinite things that you could do, and if you were entertaining or interesting in any capacity, you would go and do those things. Oh, but don't worry guys, Fightcade is coming. I'm sure you're super excited for that. I mean, I'll believe that when I see it, because DSP is absolutely terrified about how that system actually works. I mean, from what he was told, people could just message you and request to play you whenever they want, and they don't even need permission, which pretty much means he's just gonna get spammed by a bunch of people named things like Cat Got Blacked and Justice for Jasper. Not that it would even matter whether or not he got Fightcade up and running anyway, because it wouldn't last. Because he would get absolutely bodied by these people who are still playing the game and have been playing the game consistently since they came out like 2 decades ago or whatever. It would just be a couple of gameplay sessions where he seethes and copes the entire time because he's getting dominated. And then the following day on the level 1 pre-stream, he's gonna tell you that it was a waste of his time and everybody else is stupid but him for making him play it. Again, assuming that he ever even sets it up and gets it operational. But even that might be above his skill set.
It's funny because people say things like Pizza Tower and stuff, right? But is there really that much demand for it? Obviously not. No one's really asking for it. It's like a few people here and there. So it's just weird to me that all these years, again, it sounds to me like the vocal minority, right? People were very adamant and vocal. You need a PC, you need a PC. So now I get a means to play PC games and no one's really caring, you know?
But how telling is it that you aren't looking? How telling is it that you aren't interested in this huge library of games that is now opened up to you? How many games are on Steam that you don't have access to on modern hardware, on modern consoles that you're just not even looking at? Have you even honestly opened up the Steam store since you got the mini PC and just looked around? Because I think that if you genuinely did, that you would have found games that you were interested in, even if they're classics from back in the day. But we talk about this all of the time. DSP's not actually interested in games. It doesn't matter that he now has access to essentially all of the games all of the time, because it's really just another day in the Snort Fort where all DSP cares about is drinking gin and pulling Hogan's. He couldn't give a damn about these games.
Okay, sure. I don't know because I'm not looking. Thank you for telling me.
And for anybody who didn't see it, including my audio style, shout out all of you guys, DSP was responding to a message about the view botting that's been going on. One of his dents, Ponage101, had him in the chat saying it's happening again. May I suggest you put a pinned message again like yesterday? So the answer is, of course, stupid. I'll address the trolls. I'll address the detractors. Why wouldn't I? Just so we're all on the same page and nobody finds it jarring, I'm going to be skipping quite a bit in this video because there's a lot of dead air. I mean, of course there's dead air. It is a DSP stream. It wouldn't be one without it, but there's an exceptional amount. So we're going to go ahead and skip ahead. I'm going to find that DSP message for you.
Thanks for telling me, because like I said, I'm not looking at all. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to pay attention to it. So, okay.
So now that it's fully on screen, I'll just go ahead and move over to the side here. Attention, trolls have been maliciously attacking this channel with bots. Please ignore the botting and do not talk about it or give it attention, as this is exactly what they want. Thank you. Yes, he did misspell the word want, big ups. So I'm really not sure what this message exactly accomplished. I don't know what the end goal was, to tell people to not address it while the person that they're trying to mess with the most is the one that's addressing it. And the botting has been going on for a few days in a row at this point, so anybody who cares already knows, and anybody who is pretending like they're surprised and bringing it up is probably a LARPer. But don't tell DSP that. I don't think he's caught on yet.
And as you can see, when this happens, people will come in and troll. Just ban those people. When you see them saying stupid comments about it, just take them right out. Continue on.
DSP will never cease to amaze me, because I will never understand how after 13 years of online content creation and at least a decade's worth of trolling, he doesn't understand that the entire problem is him, and the way that he handles all of these situations is not correct. Because even this small reaction like this is enough for somebody to continue to mess with him, to continue to bot him in this instance. Yes, he's not screaming and flipping out and raging like a lunatic, but if you keep doing this enough, if he keeps having to bring it up in these small ways, eventually you're going trying to get a blow up. That's just how he works. And if it's not a blow up specifically about the view botting, it's a blow up about something else, because all of these things add up eventually, and DSP just has to let off some steam.
Joe Loft says the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO stated their brands are all going to go live service moving forward. Mortal Kombat and Suicide Squad are already proof of their strategy. Okay. I've never been to New Orleans. No, I have not.
Great questions, guys. You're really asking him the tough ones. But this is one of his favorite segments to do. He loves Q&A. He loves reading shit that people have to say just so that he can respond with, okay, sounds good. No, I've never done that, and move on. This is what he thinks some of his best content is. He thinks Q&A is the way to go. This is the meaningful, curated, chill style interaction that he's always going on about. It definitely leaves a lot to be desired, but we're gonna go ahead and skip ahead so that we can get back to talking about the mini PC and PC gaming.
Average YouTube enjoyer says you wouldn't be able to play something on the PC now even if you wanted to. You have too many games you're involved in. But the point I'm making is I've had that mini PC since the fall. You understand? Or not even, since late summer. And there really has been no demand. That's the point. The point is everyone said you need the PC. I got the PC and it just sits there. Everything that I can play or people want me to play is on console.
So for the record, this Dent was trying to give DSP an out. He was trying to hand him an excuse, an easy win, so that he could just brush off the rest of the conversation. But DSP wanted to bring it back up. He wanted to continue talking about it. He wanted to take the opportunity to continue to shit on PC gaming for some reason. But the argument that he winds up going with to defend his point is that everything that he wants to play or people want him to play is on console. But the exact same thing can be said the opposite direction though. I'm sure all of those AAA games are gonna be on PC as well, and he could just play them there if he really wanted to play on that platform. That whole thing is really just a nothing statement. There's no point to it.
So and this is the point I made for so many years, is that there are some games that are limited to PC. Usually it's the indie games, the games that go viral, or the games that, you know, are the meme games for like a few weeks and then they disappear. The rare case where that wasn't the case was Pal World, because that was on Game Pass. That was a rare situation, right? But outside of that, that's the kind of games that are the big PC stuff today. Everything else ends up being cross-platform.
DSP does understand that there's indie games that aren't meme games, right? There's indie games that aren't virally popular for a week or whatever, and then people forget about them. I mean, he has to, right? He has to understand that there's smaller development studios that consistently make games only for PC. Things like Project Zomboid, things like Kenshi, things like RimWorld. Just some of my favorite games that DSP will never have the opportunity to play because he doesn't play PC games. Not that I think that he'd be able to figure them out by any means, but there's entire genres of games that he has never played and will never play due to him being a console exclusive style person. He's the one that's always telling us that it's AAA studios that are ruining gaming, that they're only in it for the money, it's all about greed, that he wants to see indie studios succeed, but he has the opportunity now to play indie games on PC and he is just outright refusing. And that's what pisses me off every time he does that rant. He doesn't practice what he preaches, because there's so many of these smaller games that are absolute gems that he's not going to give the time of day, he's not going to give the spotlight to, simply because it wasn't crammed down his throat by marketing. If you want to be a consumer, go ahead and be a consumer. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't lie to yourself and everybody else while you're at it.
Very rarely do you get a game that's only PC centric, but also monstrously in demand and people want to see me play. Very rare. So, King, thank you for 27 months as a member, and says, I like to see old versus games on Fightcade. Me too. That'd be amazing to be able to play the old versus games that I used to love. I would love that on Fightcade too, for sure.
You know, typically when I would love to do something, DSP, I actually go out of my way and make it happen. I go out of my way to do it because, you know, I wanted to do it. But apparently when you say that, it doesn't actually mean anything, because you instead decided to play Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6 continuously instead of the thing that you claim that you wanted to do. Makes sense to me, I guess.
That's very true. Lady Charisma says the things with PC games, you have to dig and look for gems. The mainstream just doesn't do that. You're right. I agree with you there.
I mean, that's not necessarily true. If you just open up the Steam store page, you're pretty much guaranteed to find something that's going to pique your interest. They're actually pretty decent at showing you games that you might be interested in. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's flawless or anything. They've definitely shown me some stinkers before, but they're fairly decent. But let's say that that's true, that you have to find the hidden gems, you have to dig for them, you gotta scour for them. Why isn't DSP doing that? Why is he not listening to the suggestions that people have given him about all of the PC games that they want to see? It just screams lack lack of passion for video games on his behalf. There doesn't really seem to be any other way to look at it. But that flies directly in the face of him every single time he says that he doesn't do this for money, that he has a passion for video games and it's his hobby and his business.
JD Graham says, maybe we should do a poll of PC games to play when news releases slow down. He would like to see 7 Days to Die, which is like Minecraft in a zombie apocalypse. Trip Tonight says,
Hold up, really? No answer? You're just gonna read the message and completely ignore it and scratch your skull? What an asshole. The least you could do is give a response. Yeah, man, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe after the releases, that's something that we could do. Or even just saying, no, I really don't think that that's a good idea. Maybe we'll come up with a plan in the future that's not that. Either one, any response would have been acceptable, but literally scratching your skull and saying nothing was the worst option and you still managed to take it. But I'm sorry, what did Trip Tonight say?
Excuse me, Tip Tonight.
Oh, my bad. What did Tip Tonight say?
Says, if a meme game is $5, what's the harm in cashing in on that hype and playing it for a stream or two? If literally the meme game's $5, you're right. There's none. I have no problem dropping $5 on a silly game and messing around with it for a stream. I do have a problem dropping $30 to $60 on a game I'm only going to play once. That's too much of an investment, I feel. But if it's just like a one-off, yeah, that's different.
I noticed a very large gap in the amount of money that we're approving and disapproving for one-off games. $5 is okay, but $30 to $60 is no good. What about from $5 to $30? Is that just being left vague so that DSP can deny all of those games that are in that range, knowing that most indie games on Steam are gonna be within that range? Maybe I'm thinking about it too deep, but you have to with DSP because he's always plotting, scheming, and scamming. There's never a downtime for him. But let's say, okay, DSP, your limit is $5 for a one-off PC game that you could play on stream. Steam has a feature on their store where you can limit the amount of money that you're willing to spend. You can set it to games only under $5 if you really want to, and I just did it. There is so many games in here. So DSP really has no excuse. Any of these games would work for a one-off stream for him, and he's just not interested. And these under $5 games aren't just shitty games either. There's actually some big titles in here that are just a little older now and on sale. I mean, there's Saints Row games in here, Resident Evil games, Metro games, Vampire Survivors is under $5, Brotato is under $5. It's just crazy to me that Mr. Variety isn't looking at this like an actual option. He's only interested in AAA slop.
The thing is, I feel like a lot of these games that go viral, look what they are. Online, multiplayer, co-op, survival. It's not stuff that that's my forte or stuff that I'd even be interested in. I'm a solo gamer for the most part, right? I am. All these games, Phasmophobia. What's the latest one that just came out? It's a shooter, right? Again, but it's online co-op. It's not my style of game. It seems like all these memeable games are games that you get together with your party or your friends or your group, and it's like a party game, right? That's how it's designed. So that's just not the kind of game that I play, or it's not my forte. It's not what I'm known for. The times I've tried games like that, they didn't work.
That's because you don't have any friends though, DSP. That's not a failure on the game's part. What do you want them to do, include friends for you? I guess they gotta start putting that on the store page, friends not included, like they do with the batteries. And this is just kind of a sad reality that I don't think that DSP is really understanding, that he's really grasping. He's unable to capitalize on all of these games for his business and experience these games the way they're meant to be experienced simply because he's not social. He doesn't have any friends and he's not interested in having friends. Talking to people is an actual chore for him. He'd much rather just talk at the camera. Human beings are social creatures, which only furthers my theory that DSP is not actually a person, but instead some sort of alien style. If his speech patterns weren't bad enough, now you get to take into consideration that he's not interested in talking to other human being styles.
Years ago, I tried games like Destiny 2, games like Apex Legends. They don't work. People want to hang out with me when I'm playing a game. If my focus is on a party of people who I have to interact with to play the game, I don't get to interact with you, and people don't like that. People get very upset by that. So, there you go.
I was around for the Apex Legends streams though. I remember him playing with Brian and Kekken, and I remember them going fairly well. I don't remember the support specifically because that's not important if you ask me, but it seemed like he was actually having some sort of fun, and his chat, I recall, was having a good time. It was actually the freshest that I had seen DSP gameplay in a very long time. But of course that had to get sent to Banworld because he was very clearly being upstaged in charisma by both Brian and Kekken, and that's saying a lot given you know, who Kekken is. They had interesting things to say, they actually had personalities, and DSP just has neither of those things. So of course we can't make friends online, of course we can't be bothered to play with randoms even and have any sort of rapport with them so that we can play these games the way that they're meant to be played. We'll just continue to skip them and complain that we're only playing RPGs all of the time. That's a sound business move if you ask me.
Walk Warrior says the problem is most memeable PC games are only viable for like one stream. It wouldn't amount to any meaningful playthroughs for on-demand viewers who enjoy long-form content. That's also true. It'd be like, if you want to see the random thing, join in the one time, and then that's it, you know?
Okay, but then you would play a different random game one time and they would probably pop back in for that one, right? And maybe your videos would even do better because instead of people not being interested in the 37th part to a long-ass playthrough they don't give a shit about anymore, you would be playing something new that they could pop into, take a look at, and if they're interested, stick around, if not leave. I mean, some watch time is better than no watch time, right? And that's exactly what's happening to a lot of your later episodes in your playthroughs. Nobody is watching them. You're getting sub 1,000 views, sometimes sub 500 views.
Well, we've covered a lot. That's what it's called. Lethal Company. Yeah, that's the latest one, isn't it? Didn't it just come out a few weeks ago? Lethal Company. So that's the next memeable game everyone's talking about, right?
No, stupid. Lethal Company came out in October of 2023. I think you're talking about Helldivers, which is not a first-person shooter, but instead a third-person shooter. You don't even know what you're talking about. Ack.
This is funny. Peace God says, PC would give you true variety. We have variety. And I have a PC. I have a mini PC. Were you not listening? I have it. Oh my God.
We have variety, guys. That's why we're only playing RPGs nonstop, and I'm complaining about it every single day and constantly telling you that I'm being burnt out on them, and so are you, and that's why you're not showing up. Make that make sense, DSP, because it just doesn't. There's no way to. How can you sit there and claim that you have variety when you're the one bitching nonstop about not having variety? I mean, it's just insane that he will flip the script as soon as it's convenient for him. It doesn't matter if it directly contradicts the sentence that he just said a few moments ago. As long as it fits the narrative now, we send it.
Hello, Door. Door, the point I'm making is that I've had a PC, a mini PC, since the summer, and I don't use it. No one asked for anything on it, Door. Do you understand what I'm saying, Door? Well, the Door didn't say no. And the Door didn't just say that if I had a PC, I'd have more variety. So I guess the Door actually did listen better. I don't know what else to say.
So now we're outright saying that inanimate objects are more retentive and responsive to what you're saying than your own viewers. That's great, DSP. Keep doing that. I'm sure you're going to have a very large viewer base for a very long time if you keep that up. Just belittle and berate them as often as possible. They love that, clearly. I mean, in all honesty, they probably do, at least the ones that are sticking around now, because this is normal behavior for you. Maybe not this brazen, but still typical behavior.
Okay. Hadley, I have absolutely no idea.
And him saying that he has no idea was a direct response to Hadley when they asked him, what GPU do you have in that mini PC? DSP isn't even aware of the components that are in his mini PC, but he's going to sit here and tell us what he can and can't play on it all the time and why he can't play certain games that people are asking for. But I might be jumping the gun because I'm pretty sure that he's just about to do that right now.
I choose to get games on the console versus the PC version. What are you talking about? First of all, you have to understand that's a mini PC. That's not a full-fledged gaming rig. I can't play modern games on it. The whole point is the memeable games, the lower res games, the indie games, yes. Modern games, no, will not work on that PC. So any of these new games I'm playing that have PC ports, I couldn't play them on there. They would not run. You know, Baldur's Gate 3. You think Baldur's Gate 3 would have run on the mini PC? Oh, I don't think so.
I'm fairly certain that the game would run. Whether or not it's in the highest fidelity possible is definitely questionable. I'm even leaning towards that it wouldn't be in the highest fidelity and that you would have to turn down some settings, but that's typical for PC gaming. But at least you have the option. If you didn't want to play at 30 FPS high, you could totally play at 60 medium. It's an option that you have. It's actually really nice. But I would absolutely take a downgrade in graphics if it meant that I could play with the PC controls, with the PC UI for Baldur's Gate 3. Because I just wouldn't be able to deal with the console UI UI at this point. It doesn't seem intuitive to me as someone who hasn't played console games in a fairly decent time. But that very thing is something that DSP complained about himself. He said that Baldur's Gate 3 didn't seem to be designed around a controller, said it was more PC centric and designed around a mouse and keyboard, so he had the option, if he really wanted to take it, to play the game on PC, and he didn't. Instead, he'd much rather just complain.
Maybe if everyone looked like a Play-Doh sculpture, right? Or the Pillsbury Doughboy. Imagine that. It's Baldur's Gate 3, but everyone's just an unrendered doughboy walking around. That would have been my experience playing the game on that mini PC, right? So that's the thing. I have to. If it's a modern game, a high-end game, a full AAA experience, I have to play that on a console. It's the smaller time stuff that I could play on the mini PC. It looks like my chat has crashed. It did, because it's not updating on here, but it is updating over there. Hold on. Yep, it froze. With your love of SNES style RPGs, the mini PC is perfect. I agree. That I'll agree with you on. That the older style games, yes, I could absolutely play them all on PC.
Then why aren't you doing more of that, DSP? Why aren't you moving in a direction where you play more games that you enjoy, these SNES RPGs that you claim to love so much? I understand that it's not what your audience wants, but you're kind of already playing games that your audience doesn't want. Except you paid $60, $70 for those games. I think you even paid $100 for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And emulating old SNES games is free. Seems kind of like a no-brainer to me.
That I agree on as well. Walk Warrior says, I think once you get past all these RPGs that the devs release all at the same time, people will stop complaining. I do agree with that too. Once we get more variety into the schedule, people will not be as, you know, oh, this is boring and blah, blah, blah. I think people are only complaining because it is seriously so many of the same style of game, for sure.
But wait, didn't you just say that we had variety? Weren't you just telling us that we don't need to play PC games because we have so much variety? I swear you just said that.
We have variety.
Yeah, that's what I remembered.
Dark Gaming, no, the stream didn't crash. The chat actually froze, legit froze. And I just refreshed it and now it's working again. Sarah says, the problem is if you become virally popular, you'll have to lose your current niche audience. The fans of your content are not also fans of the mainstream viral creators. I don't know about that. But here's the thing. If I were to grow to the point where now I'm like, you know, bringing in so many viewers and the chat is going and there's so many people there, right? I would not, definitely would not have the personal ability to talk with many of you like I do on a daily basis. I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy the fact that I recognize many of you in chat and we have kind of running jokes and things. You know what I mean? That's a nice feeling. It feels like it's a group of a community of friends or people hanging out as opposed to, oh, this is a crazy ass party room with a zillion people in it bouncing off the walls, going nuts, going freaking out, spamming memes, being stupid. It doesn't feel like that in my chats, correct?
Yeah, you're right, DSP. It's not like that at all. People aren't going crazy in the chat. People actually aren't even typing unless their name is Derek or Slayer. Most of the time, the only person that's actually typing in your chat is Nightbot. Shout out Nightbot for holding it down.
That's a good thing. I like having a better organized stream. I've always enjoyed that. And I hope that you understand that. Like, that's why I have not actively done things to try to make myself get virally popular. Listen, I could. And the sad part is it wouldn't be good stuff. I would have to basically become like a lot of these other people who the only way that they can get attention on the internet is to make themselves a joke, to be dramatic, to be stupid, right?
DSP has such a narrow view of YouTube and everybody that uses the platform. He seems to think that everybody who's been popular, everybody who has an audience gets it through drama, gets it through making themselves look stupid. It's like he doesn't understand that people can get an audience by just sharing their passion for something and being knowledgeable on a subject. But I guess that would make sense given that DSP has never been knowledgeable on a subject and him being knowledgeable on a subject is kind of a foreign concept to him.
So I don't do that on purpose. I just stay in my lane. I just enjoy what I do as a you know, a basic thing. I don't rattle any trees. I just try to be here and enjoy who I am and what I'm doing with all of you. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you understand that. There's a reason for that. There were many times over the years that I did have abilities to grow or try to jump on those bandwagons, and I don't want to do that, right? And the other thing is, again, I feel like a lot of these games that go viral, right? They're not my style of game. It's for a different style of streamer. It's for a different style of content creator that I'm not. You know, I'm just not that.
Yes, those virally popular games are meant for people who have fun, who enjoy having fun, and enjoy talking to other people and sharing an experience. You're right, you're none of those things. You're a sad, miserable old curmudgeon who is going to be doing this indefinitely until you pass, I guess. Because you have no hope of doing really anything else.
And that's okay. I think the problem right now with YouTube and Twitch and all that, everyone thinks that there's one way to do it. You should just do that and then you're popular. And if you don't do it, you're doing it wrong. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. In life, it is variety. That is the spice of life, as they say. If everyone just did everything exactly the same in life, life would be boring. You want people to be doing things in different ways for different kinds of audiences. I feel like the content I make is great for my audience. I don't have to play every viral game because it's not the style of content that I put out. People don't look to me for that. You know what I'm saying?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't it be that if they weren't coming to you for that style of content, for those memeable games, and then every once in a while you did actually do one, wouldn't that be variety? Wouldn't that be something out of the ordinary? Wouldn't that be the spice of life that you were talking about? Because it doesn't sound variety to me that you continuously choose not to play all of these games that everybody else is playing. That doesn't sound like variety. That seems like you're making the same choice fairly consistently.
I definitely feel like people don't get that. Like, if you're not doing it exactly the way that everyone else does it, and you're not getting virally popular as a result of that, you're doing it wrong, right? 10 years of failure, despite the fact that I'm still here, still profitable, have a great personal life, have a great professional life, 10 years of failure. Why am I a failure? Because I didn't copy everything else everyone else was doing so I could become virally popular like them. That's not failure. That was a choice.
I chose to be a broke loser, stupid. I wanted this. I wanted to beg online. I want to have multiple utilities in my house non-operational. I wanted to have multiple sets of blinds in my house that don't work. Sound good? Sounds good to me. And real quick, I want to give a big shout out to Niall M for the €2 in DSP's chat. Not that I can support troll tipping, but he's got a good point here. Stop talking so much and play a game. I agree.
That was a choice to be a different kind of person and creator that I'm okay with. If you're not okay with it, maybe you should look in the mirror and wonder why you want everyone to be exactly the fucking same, because obviously you don't have that level of, like, thought. You just think everything's samey, everything good, right? Not every actor who stood out there was intending to be a Leonardo DiCaprio or a Brad Pitt. Not every musician is aspiring to be a Taylor Swift, right? I don't make decisions that would make me like that. I haven't done a single thing that would blow me up because I don't care. I don't want to be like that, right? Right? Okay then.
But while there are musicians and actors that don't want to be like the big ones, right? Not every musician does want to be like Taylor Swift. I agree. There's definitely musicians who aren't trying to be like Taylor Swift that are still making decisions that are good for their career. Making decisions that are going to push them to that next level, you know, level 2. And this is why people are constantly hounding you about things like this. Because nobody is saying that you have to be just like these other people. Nobody is saying that you have to play all of these games. What people are instead saying is that you should give some of these things a chance. You should actually look into them. You shouldn't just write them off because other people are enjoying them, because they've become popular on the internet. You can play these games and stream these games in a way that's entirely unique to you. Because the only semi-positive thing that I can actually say about DSP and his streams is that there is no other streamer that does it quite like him. Every DSP stream is entirely unique to DSP and his content, for better or for worse. But that's going to be the end of the clip, and we're going to move right on to the comments from the last video. So shout out all of my members, obviously. Skycra1962 says, God, the salt was real on the last Tekken stream. Went from his proud purple rank to mid-red. That he did indeed, my friend. Got absolutely smacked and the salt was flowing. And I may or may not make a video on his several cope sessions after quitting Tekken 8. I guess we'll have to see, because I don't even know yet. Crimson Doctor 502 says, if only Phil could strive to reach the stars, if only he could have more goals in life rather than always clinging at whatever little twig of success he can pull. Instead, we just get this massive cope segment justifying and giving excuses excuses as to why he isn't good at games. And unfortunately, that's the exact situation that we find ourselves in. DSP has no aspirations to do better at anything, really. Instead, he just gets on stream and whines and cries every single day. But on the positive side, we all get to point and laugh, and that's pretty robust. And Justin Aron says, at any moment I could pick up a mobile and pull Hogan's at a professional level. And that's what's really important in life, being able to pick up your phone and pull at a professional level. But shout out to everybody who watched the video, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other Detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortex.